All right, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. How's everybody doing out there? It is the 17th of May, and we are talking about the Underground Railroad some more. We are on Chapter 3. It's called North Carolina. Full spoilers if you have not seen this episode, and I want to thank everybody who has chosen to watch my videos, any of them. But we're talking mostly about these. This is a rough show. It's an important show. It's a well-acted show. The show it's very hard to watch. It's very hard to talk about. We're giving it a shot. So I appreciate anybody that watches these, gives a like, leaves a... You guys' comments have been great. I want to say that up front. Again, the comment section has been a great show. If you do like what I'm doing here, please consider becoming a subscriber to the channel. We like to cover important stuff. I talk about a lot of different things. As you can see behind me, I love my pop culture. But what I really have been enjoying talking about is, over the course of since I've been doing my channel, is talking about stuff that's, kind of difficult to talk about. Stuff that's really makes you think and feel things. And that's one of the other things I do on this channel is everybody, there's a million reviewers out there, and so many of them just talk about the basics. But I feel like watching TV and movies, it's an experience, and we feel things, and we need to talk it out. And that's what we try to do here on my channel, not just talk about pacing and cinematography and all that other stuff. And we're going to talk about that a lot, but we talk about what it makes us feel like, and especially with subject matter like this. So again, yeah, we're close to 2,000 subscribers. That's the small part. I really like the channel to get to 2,000 subscribers, and every little bit helps. So thank you guys for choosing to watch this. But wow, another incredibly powerful episode. I've had people telling me to just wait until this, episode 3 kicks in, and I kind of, it's every episode is like a mini movie with a whole other set of rules. Each state we've been through has now been completely different than the rest. You've got Georgia, which is basically, it represents the plantation. You got South Carolina, which was the uplifting of African Americans with a some very dark secrets. And now we're in North Carolina. And where poor Cora cannot catch a break. We got this cave-in where she can't go forward, and she definitely can't go back. So she's stuck in the tunnel, waiting for the station agent to arrive. Before I really get into this, I do want to talk about one comment that I made last episode. I've been talking about since the beginning, and that was the term alternate history. I don't want anybody to think that I don't think that the Underground Railroad wasn't a real thing. When I say alternate history, I mean how some of the details that they use in this show, like an actual Underground Railroad, a train, is not part of the actual Underground Railroad. That is an alternate where they're changing, they're fictionalizing a little bit of the story to make it more like we talked about with Homer's The Odyssey. You take the real and you give it a little bit of a fantasy to it all, because there is this kind of dream-like and more epic journey. I'm not going to go too far, but just to reiterate, I wasn't trying to say that things that happened didn't happen. It's just the fantastic elements to this, and by fantastic I mean just like the state of North Carolina in this being completely, outlawing all Negroes, or how South Carolina was uplifting Negroes. And how in Georgia it's just plain old, slavery. This is not how it really was. They're using each state to represent, a different aspect of horrifying racism. And so, anyway, let's get back to talking about the episode. So, she waits for the station agent, who's played by Damon Harriman. Damon Harriman, who is an incredible actor from, I believe, Australia, plays Martin here. And his characters, a lot of times, more often than not, what I've noticed is he plays pretty awful characters. Whether it's like the kind of gangster character in Mr. Fix-It, to Charles Manson in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, to just straight up racist and other things. And so I was very curious to see where this character was going, because I don't trust this actor. This actor always plays those kind of roles, so right up front I start thinking, okay, how horrible is this guy going to be? But he's not. He's not opposite, but he is living in North Carolina. Why? When you find out what North Carolina is about, which is they've outlawed all, I'm going to say some terms in this because of how they describe them, but all Negroes in North Carolina are outlawed. If you hide them, you're just as guilty, and he takes her after begging her not to go with him. You know, I don't want you to go with me. I can't take you with me. She's begging him because she's like, I can't stay in this tunnel. I have to go with you. And she probably should have just stayed behind. She probably should have just stayed there, to be honest with you. Or gotten out of the tunnel and just tried to make her way. But that's not the story we're telling here. This is her journey. This is Cora'S journey. And part of the journey is to go through what she's about to go through, which is getting into the back of this cart, and we're introduced to why he told her not to come with. And he expresses it to her by showing her the Freedom Trail, which in Boston, that's a different thing. And there is a real Freedom Trail in Boston, but it has nothing to do with this. The Freedom Trail in this, I love how they use the word freedom, right? Because, well, we'll talk more about how these people think. That the road is littered with everybody that they've hung, African American and white people, anybody that has been caught harboring Negroes and African. It's going to be so hard balancing the language that they use in this and what I want to say. The black people that they find, they hang them, and any white people they find helping them, they hang them too. And when I looked up, right, there's the symbol of it, the Freedom Trail symbol analysis. And I'm going to read you guys what this says. The Freedom Trail is an endless row of lynched black bodies in North Carolina left out on display to warn black people against rebellion. The bodies are mutilated and rotting, and the Freedom Trail thus represents the gory reality of white supremacy. The trail is a mythic site with fantastic elements such as the fact that it has no beginning or end. In this way, the trail represents the limitless and unimaginable violence exerted on black people and the absolute moral vacuum of white supremacy. Moral vacuum is right. While no such trail existed in history, lynching was such a massive phenomenon that if the bodies of all the black people lynched in America were lined up, the trail would indeed stretch out in a seemingly infinite manner. It's fucking terrifying and horrible. Furthermore, because this violence was so widespread and normalized, it is impossible to know the exact numbers of people murdered in this way. The infinite nature of the Freedom Trail thus represents the unknowability of the history of black life in America, particularly given the fact that enslaved people were forbidden from recording accounts of their own lives and that those who were lynched were silenced forever. The trail confirms the symbolic link between death and freedom in the novel. While Cora is on the run, most of the people who flee with her or help her are killed, and thus Cora is haunted by her own symbolic freedom trail comprised of all the deaths that take place during her escape. As a white person, when we're taught history, at least how I was taught history, we see these things, we hear about these things. As I've gotten older, I've seen more and more of the horrors that have been going on in this country since black people were brought here on ships. Some of the oldest pictures I've ever seen, unfortunately, are of that kind of atrocity. and the white men that proudly stand next to it like hunters, you know, like when they hunt an elephant or a buffalo, proud in what they've done because they did it for their God. It's funny how religious belief is tied into a lot of this racism that we see now and then, and it hasn't changed. Their manifest destiny bullshit. But anyway, she sees the Freedom Trail, and it really, you know, it's an impactful thing to look at. It really lets us also know what we're about to experience. So he takes her to where he lives, and this kind of becomes like an Anne Frank situation. You know, we're introduced to Ethel, played by Lily Rabe, I think is how you say her name, who is really good at playing unbalanced people, and that talent is done, you know, she uses her skills that she's learned used at least in other shows to play this very tormented kind of person. She's racist, but for some reason it's like the kind of casual racism that they had, where, you know, in this town there's no Negroes, so they use the Irish as slavery, basically. You know, except they're white, so it's more like indentured servitude. But they still have the same basic thinking of like, these people are less than people. Doesn't matter if you're black or Irish or whatever. It's like, if you're not us, right? Which unfortunately, you know, I started to think, what does that mean? And it's like, well, these, you know, German, which I am. I'm German and Dutch, and it really makes me really dislike my heritage quite a bit. Well, she's when she realizes that he's brought in a kid, or, you know, brought in Cora, you know, she immediately is like, "You've just killed us all." But she won't say anything because if she tells, they'll kill everyone, right, in her family. So Cora is up in the attic with another girl named Grace that's also up there. And I like how he says, "Grace will guide you." There's a lot of just kind of religious symbolism in this episode. So also Grace is played by I'm going to butcher this name, Michelle Bella Bowman, who is a lovely young actress, who basically has to give her the ropes, knowing which boards are going to creak or not, to stay quiet. Because this place is a very, very rigid, and it's a rat ship. And the first thing I thought of was, and here's a little tidbit for all of you that don't know, anybody who knows my channel pretty well knows that I've talked about this in the past, and we are going to make a video about my history of this, as I was raised in a very strict religious upbringing. I was raised in a cult. And one of the things that the cult really likes is to basically rat people out. They live for finding out things about their neighbors, or brothers and sisters, if you will. It's almost like they really, really enjoy finding things out about each other. So you've got this community that's based on fear and religious beliefs, who literally seem like they're just waiting to bust somebody on whatever. So they have to hide up there, or they're dead. Martin and his wife are dead. And they're up there for a while. We also have a very horrible ceremony that they do, where they go into about how Negroes contaminate everything, overpopulate, spreading everywhere. They're basically, you know, that what we're doing here is God's vision of America. And that they do that. The guy makes a comment about, you know, we don't teach hogs arithmetic. and we slaughter hogs, and we treat Negroes the same as hogs, and they kill a young woman in front of everyone, and they're all about it. I mean, they're also burning books. But the thing is like when these people say, right, and make no mistake here, people, when these people say God's vision of America, what they're really saying is it's their vision. They use God as basically kind of an excuse to justify what they really want. It really, and I've said this before, it really makes me wonder how many people even really believe in what they believe. Or do they just use it as a cover to do the horrible things that they want to do? To just get what they want. It's not God's vision of America. And maybe they've deluded themselves, told themselves the lie so long that they really believe it. But it's really, they think they're their own God. That this world that they make is in their image, their God. You can, if you don't agree with me on that, that's fine. That's how I see it. I take this kind of stuff from my lifetime of what I saw. A very strict religious upbringing that believed in, just so strictly, with no compromise, this is the way. But is it? Do you really believe that? Or do you just want it to be true so you can just do what you want to do? Fear and religion and hate. So tied in closely together. And it's such a terrible way to exist. So it's like you've got these people that just live with fear and religion and hate. And so they're never really happy. I don't think these people can ever actually be really happy when your life is consumed by just always protecting your way of life by destroying someone else's. So your life is miserable and you're making everyone else's life miserable. And while I'm sure that there are some people that get joy out of this, it's just a terrible existence. Instead of just understanding that we all deserve to be here. Like Lily Ab's character, Ethel, says, like, children, I don't understand why some of you are damned because of how you are. And it's like, do you even understand the words that just came out of your mouth? And it's like their own conditioning. Religious conditioning. Where these people are ingrained to just believe these things for so long that it becomes true without questioning it. The ignorance. We have it still today, but it's... I thank the universe that there have become more and more people that are willing to understand that we're all just here to live and try to be happy and try not to make each other miserable and try to leave this place better than when we left it. It's nice to at least that we've accomplished some of that, sort of. Not really, I don't know. I can only speak for myself, I guess. But during this whole time, because this takes place over some months, Cora'S up in that attic for so long that she begins to get sick. And I really, really thought this was a great touch by Martin not knowing what to do, right? Cora'S like, we have to leave. He can't get her out. He has no way of getting her out. He blows up the tunnel, or at least he thinks he does, right? And so he fakes, while she's sick, and that means she's going to be coughing, in order to keep her safe there, he fakes an illness in front of the Fiona, who is a terrible person, by the way. Just because somebody's racist about somebody doesn't mean that that person isn't also a piece of shit. Okay? So Fiona, in her own way, is just awful. I mean, she finds the seed that one day, and I kept thinking to myself, man, how boring was life back then that you would notice that you would spend so much time trying to just... You'd hear a little creak and your life is so small and empty. You'd find a seed and go, ooh. But he fakes an illness so that people think he's got the pox, which it was a brilliant, actually, idea on his part to keep people away so that while he's pretending to fight through his illness, Cora can fight through her actual illness. And I thought that was a really, really great touch. Even Ethel, like I said, as fucked up as she is trying to help Cora through it. But I guess in helping Cora get through this, it means Martin can stop sooner, can stop pretending to. But it doesn't, during this whole time, the tension in this episode is unbelievable. Filming in such a tight spot, too. Filming where in that attic, where a lot of this is filmed, man, must have been unbelievably difficult. Plus the design of this town is just creepy as hell and so well done. All so much wood and all the white paint and everything just so strict. Everything so strictly maintained. Again, just like their beliefs. The set design in this, just unbelievable. Just so empty and stark and harsh. Just fits people that live there. Just another great, amazing details that they've added to this, that Barry Jenkins is a genius. Barry Jenkins is a genius for this series. And anyway, Ridgeway shows up. How Ridgeway is just, Ridgeway is just going north. And little Homer is there. And, while Martin's pox, at first, it doesn't seem to be affecting Ridgeway in the least. He's going to go in there no matter what. Homer just goes right into the house. And again, just like last episode, is the one that finds Cora there. Like, he's just always right on her heels. And always so ready to rat her out. Now, Ethel's character does her best to try to... You could say that she's helping Cora, but she's also helping herself. If they are found, they're all dead. So she says, this kid came into my house, trying to, get them away, get the crowd away, get them to focus on Ridgeway and the kid, and how the kid shouldn't be there, rather than focus on their house. But then Cora here, she surrenders. She leaves Grace up in the attic. She had promised to get Grace out. And she surrenders. Now, look, this was a difficult moment for me because I'm like, why is she doing this? I think she's trying to sacrifice herself so that Grace can stay. Which is very noble. That, if they just get me, then they won't look for you. I guess I do understand it, so I don't know what I'm talking about. But in doing so, in surrendering, she has... I guess she didn't really think of the long term because Martin would be killed. Ethel would be killed because they were harboring her. Which also would mean they probably searched the house anyway. And Martin is taken with Ridgeway to find the railroad because he tells him about it. So not only is Cora now caught, Ridgeway knows about the railroad. Ethel's dragged away to be hung, burned, both. And then Fiona takes a lamp and sets the house ablaze with Grace inside screaming. It's just nightmare fuel. So they take Cora to the burned out tunnel where it's basically useless. Little Homer goes inside. And I want to again talk about that actor who is playing an adult. Homer is a child who is basically lived the life he's lived. He carries himself as an adult. He carries himself with no fear. And if the character actually has fear, he is playing it as if he does not. This actor is one of the best actors I've ever seen in my life. If you just look at the acting that's being done with his face, you know that that kid thinks he's an adult. And there's no doubt about it. It's just unbelievable. Martin is killed. You know, he's trying to say he's sorry to Cora. And Cora asks Ridgeway, how did you find me? And he's like, I didn't. I think you found me. And that's how we end it. And it's horrible because, I mean, not the episode, but just the way it ends. Because you know that I've seen the other lists of the episodes, so things, you know, and I've seen where things kind of go in the trailer. But this is a very, like in a dark show, this is in episode 3, a very, very dark moment, a very big setback. Huge setback. And like it says in there about the Freedom Trail, everybody that kind of helps, that's been, you know, that's around Cora seems to die. It's not her fault. It's just, she now has her own, like it says, her own Freedom Trail of everybody that's lost along the way. I don't know what episode 4 is going to be like. If it's anything like the previous 3, whoa, daddy. And I want to just go on record as saying this needs to win, already just for 3 episodes, Best Director, Best Writing, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actor for Homer. Just this, plus the set design, costume design. This is an unbelievable piece of work so far. Artistically, it's unmatched in a lot of things historically I've seen. This hits hard, and it's important, and I can't wait to keep going talking about it. So if you like this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. If you've made it this far, congratulations. This is Rob, the Smirking Gun Review, saying once again, be good to each other, and I'll see you on the next video.